You've noticed it, haven't you? The person who works half as hard as you gets promoted. The manipulator who lies without flinching commands respect. The cold, calculating individual who shows no mercy somehow wins in every negotiation, every relationship, every power dynamic. Here's the uncomfortable truth. While you were taught to be kind, fair and empathetic, others were learning the mechanics of psychological dominance. And now, you're playing a game where everyone else read the rulebook, except you. Statistics show that individuals who display what psychologists call subclinical psychopathic traits, charm without empathy, strategic ruthlessness, emotional detachment, earn approximately 25% more and rise to leadership positions. Faster than their emotionally available counterparts. You've been programmed to lose. But what if I told you that over 150 years ago, a German philosopher decoded the exact psychological operating system that separates the powerful from the powerless? What if his forbidden insights could rewire your psychology, making you cold, calculated, and untouchable? Today you're going to learn what they never wanted you to know. Let me guess your reality. You're the most competent person in the room. Yet somehow, you watch less qualified people manipulate their way to the top. You tell the truth while liars prosper. You show loyalty while the disloyal collect rewards. You play by the rules while rule breakers write their own destiny. You feel it in every meeting where your ideas get stolen, every relationship where your kindness gets exploited, every negotiation where your fairness becomes your weakness. Here's what's really happening. You were conditioned, programmed with a psychological operating system designed to make you compliant, predictable, and controllable. Your parents taught you to be nice. Your teachers rewarded obedience. Society praised your selflessness. Meanwhile, the predators among us received different programming. They learned that power respects power. That perception matters more than reality. That emotional detachment is strategic superiority. Those who control the frame control the outcome. And now you're trapped in what psychologists call learned helplessness, a mental prison where you've accepted your powerlessness as inevitable. You've rationalized your losses as taking the high road when in reality, you simply didn't know the game being played. The most dangerous part? Every day you remain psychologically disarmed is another day someone else uses these principles against you. Your boss, your colleagues, your romantic partners, even your friends. You're not losing because you're inadequate. You're losing because you're psychologically unarmed in a world of hidden warfare. But that ends today. Let me introduce you to Friedrich Nietzsche. Born in 1844 in a small Prussian village, Nietzsche witnessed something that would shape his entire philosophy. He saw how the good people suffered while the ruthless thrived. How the honest lived in poverty while the deceptive built empires. How the moral were despised while the immoral were feared and respected. This observation drove him mad, literally. But before his psychological collapse, Nietzsche decoded something extraordinary. The hidden psychology of power that Western civilization had buried under layers of religious and social conditioning. His philosophy wasn't just theory, it was a psychological autopsy of human nature. He dissected the mechanics of dominance, the architecture of psychological superiority, and most dangerously, the specific mindset that separates masters from slaves. His books were burned. His ideas were censored. Why? Because Nietzsche revealed the uncomfortable operating manual of reality, a manual that, if widely understood, would dismantle every power structure built on keeping people psychologically domesticated. What you're about to learn are Nietzsche's most dangerous insights, principles that, when internalized, create a psychological transformation so profound that people will sense a shift in your energy before you even speak. These aren't motivational platitudes. These are surgical tools for psychological reconstruction. Nietzsche called his ideal human the Übermensch, the one who rises above herd morality and creates his own values, his own reality, his own power. Today, we're beginning your transformation. Lesson number 1, Nietzsche's most radical observation. Morality is a control system. He identified what he called slave morality, a psychological framework designed to make the powerless feel virtuous about their powerlessness. You were taught that weakness is noble, that submission is spiritual, that self-sacrifice proves your worth. Here's the truth, these aren't virtues, they're psychological chains. Nietzsche wrote, Man is something to be overcome. He meant that the domesticated, people-pleasing, approval-seeking version of you must die. That version was engineered to serve others' agendas while calling it righteousness. The first dark lesson is recognizing that everything you call good might be the very thing keeping you powerless. Excessive empathy, manipulation, vulnerability, radical honesty, strategic disadvantage, unconditional kindness, an invitation for exploitation. Modern application. Start auditing your behaviors. Every time you act against your self-interest to avoid judgment, you're feeding the slave within. Every time you suppress your truth to keep peace, you're strengthening your psychological chains. The transformation begins when you prioritize your power over others' comfort. This doesn't mean becoming cruel, it means becoming sovereign. The master creates his own moral code based on what serves his ascension, not what makes others comfortable. Lesson number 2, Nietzsche's most powerful psychological weapon, amor fati, love of fate. Most people are psychologically destroyed by adversity. Betrayal breaks them. Failure paralyzes them. Loss defines them. Why? Because they resist reality. Nietzsche discovered that psychological invincibility comes from a radical acceptance. Not just tolerating your suffering, but loving it. Not just surviving your darkness, but extracting power from it. He wrote, "That which does not kill me makes me stronger." But he meant something more surgical than this cliché suggests. He meant that every betrayal you experience is intelligence about human nature. Every failure eliminates an ineffective strategy. Every loss removes what would have made you weak. The cold individual doesn't avoid suffering, he weaponizes it. Modern application. Your next betrayal isn't a tragedy. It's a masterclass in deception recognition. Your next rejection isn't a failure. It's precision data about what doesn't work. Your next loss isn't a setback. It's the elimination of dead weight. When you develop amor fati, you become psychologically unbreakable. Others use pain as a weapon against you, but you transmute pain into power. They try to hurt you, and you consume their attacks as fuel. This is the mentality that creates the untouchable individual, the one who cannot be manipulated through fear because he's already accepted the worst. The one who cannot be controlled through loss because he's already embraced impermanence. You become dangerous when nothing can psychologically destabilize you. Lesson 3, Nietzsche's most controversial discovery. All human behavior is driven by the will to power, not money, not love, not happiness, power. Every interaction is a dominance negotiation. Every conversation is a frame battle. Every relationship is a hierarchy establishing itself. Those who pretend otherwise are simply losing the game while denying it exists. The uncomfortable truth: you either dominate or submit. You either control the frame or exist within someone else's frame. You either impose your reality or accept theirs. There is no neutral ground in human psychology. Nietzsche observed that the powerful know this consciously, while the powerless discover it unconsciously through repeated subjugation. The difference? Awareness and intentionality. Modern application. In your next conversation, notice who controls the frame. Who sets the topic? Who determines the emotional tone? Who decides when it ends? The person with frame control has psychological power. Start practicing subtle dominance. Speak slightly slower. It communicates authority. Hold eye contact beyond comfort. It establishes hierarchy. Let silence exist. It forces others to fill voids and reveal themselves. These aren't tricks. They're the mechanics of psychological positioning. The will to power isn't about being aggressive. It's about being strategically positioned. The chess player doesn't yell at the pieces. He simply positions them where they have no choice but to serve his strategy. When you master this principle, people will feel compelled to comply with your reality without understanding why. You're not forcing. You're creating psychological gravity that makes resistance feel unnatural. Lesson 4. Here's where Nietzsche becomes truly dangerous. He discovered that the most powerful individuals don't follow values. They create them. They don't ask what is good. They declare it. Think about it. Who told you that being agreeable was virtuous? Who decided that self-sacrifice was noble? Who established that conformity was mature? Someone imposed those values on you, and you accepted them without question. The herd follows inherited values. The Übermensch creates his own. Nietzsche wrote about the revaluation of all values, the psychological revolution where you audit every belief you hold and ask, does this serve my power or someone else's agenda? Modern application. You were told ambition is greedy. Who benefits from your contentment? You were told questioning is disrespectful. Who benefits from your obedience? You were told vulnerability is strength. Who benefits from your emotional exposure? The cold individual recognizes that every moral system is a power system. Every should is someone's strategy. Every guilt you feel was installed by someone who benefits from your compliance. Start this process. Write down your top 10 values. Next to each, write who taught you that value and who benefits from you holding it. The answers will reveal where you're living someone else's programming. Then, create your own. What would you value if you feared no judgment? What would you pursue if social approval were irrelevant? What person would you become if you only answered to your own internal authority? That person, that's who you're becoming. Lesson number 5. Nietzsche posed a thought experiment that psychologically destroys the weak and empowers the strong. What if you had to live your exact life, with every choice, every moment, every consequence, over and over again for eternity? Would you celebrate or despair? He called this eternal recurrence, and it's the most brutal accountability system ever conceived. Most people would be horrified. Their regrets would become eternal torture. Their wasted time would compound infinitely. Their cowardice would echo forever. But the powerful individual, he would embrace it. Because he lives with such intensity, such purpose, such strategic precision, that he would gladly repeat it eternally. Modern application. This is Nietzsche's filter for decision-making. Before every choice, ask, if I had to repeat this exact moment forever, would I choose this? That relationship that drains you, would you repeat it eternally? That career that slowly kills your spirit, would you relive it forever? That compromise you're making to avoid conflict, would you make it infinite times? This principle creates cold, calculated decision-making. You stop wasting time on what doesn't serve your highest vision. You eliminate toxic people, dead-end situations, and soul-crushing compromises. The eternal recurrence doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you are. You become the person whose life is so well architected that immortality would be a reward, not a punishment. This is the psychology of the powerful. They design lives worth repeating. The powerless? They're just killing time until death releases them from regret. Which one are you building? Lesson 6, Nietzsche's most famous declaration, God is dead and we have killed him. Most people misunderstand this completely. He wasn't celebrating atheism. He was warning about the psychological crisis it creates. Here's what he meant. When you remove external authority, God, a religion, tradition, social norms, most people psychologically collapse. They need someone to tell them what to do, what to value, and how to live. But for the rare individual, this is liberation. The death of God means you become the author of your own reality. No cosmic judge, no predetermined path, no inherited purpose, just you, and the radical responsibility of creating meaning in a meaningless universe. Modern application. Most people are still psychologically enslaved to invisible authorities. They don't believe in God, but they worship social approval. They don't follow religion, but they obey cultural trends. They don't fear hell, but they fear judgment. The cold individual recognizes this and uses it. While others desperately seek external validation, you become internally validated. While others need permission, you grant yourself authority. While others wait for purpose to find them, you create it. This is psychological sovereignty, the most threatening thing to systems built on compliance. You don't need their approval. You don't fear their judgment. You don't require their permission. You are the highest authority in your life. When you embody this, people will sense it. They'll test you, challenge you, try to pull you back into seeking validation. But you'll remain unmoved, because their opinion is no longer your currency. This isn't arrogance, it's psychological independence, and nothing is more powerful. Lesson number 7, Nietzsche's final lesson is paradoxical. Become who you are. This sounds like nonsense until you understand what he meant. You're not discovering yourself. You're constructing yourself. There is no true self waiting to be found. There's only the self you're building through ruthless self-overcoming. Most people spend their lives trying to find themselves, which is just an excuse for passivity. They wait for clarity, for signs, for permission to become powerful. The Übermensch doesn't find himself. He forges himself. Every obstacle becomes a hammer strike. Every failure becomes heat tempering the steel. Every betrayal burns away the impurities. You're not revealing who you are, you're smithing who you're becoming. Modern application. Stop asking, who am I? Start declaring who I am becoming. Stop seeking your purpose. Start building it through relentless action. The cold individual understands that identity is constructed through decisions compounded over time. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're constructing a disciplined identity. Every time you choose truth over approval, you're constructing an authentic identity. Every time you choose power over likability, you're constructing a formidable identity. Nietzsche's greatest gift, the recognition that you are not fixed. You are not your past. You are not your conditioning. You are not your current limitations. You are the project. You are the sculpture. You are both the marble and the artist. And every day you choose not to chisel is a day you remain a shapeless block of unrealized potential. The question is, what are you constructing? So here's where you are right now. You've just received 7 principles that most people will never encounter in their entire lives, not because they're hidden, but because they require a psychological courage that most don't possess. These aren't tips you implement tomorrow and forget by next week. These are surgical tools for complete psychological reconstruction. They're the difference between being someone who exists within reality and someone who creates reality. Imagine the version of you 6 months from now who has internalized these lessons. Watch him walk into a room, there's a different energy. People sense something has changed, but can't identify what. He doesn't seek approval. It flows to him automatically. He doesn't avoid conflict. He navigates it with surgical precision. He doesn't fear loss. He's already embraced impermanence. That version of you? He's cold. He's calculated. He's powerful. And most importantly, he's untouchable. But here's the warning Nietzsche himself would give you. This knowledge is dangerous not to others but to your old self. The moment you truly internalize these principles, your old relationships will feel suffocating. Your old career will feel like a cage. Your old identity will feel like a costume you've been forced to wear. Some people in your life won't survive your transformation. They'll call you cold. They'll say you've changed. They'll accuse you of becoming heartless good. Because what they're really saying is, you're no longer controllable. You're no longer predictable. You're no longer playing your assigned role in our hierarchy. Your transformation threatens their comfort. Your power reveals their weakness. Your sovereignty exposes their dependence. And here's the most crucial part. While you've been watching this, thousands of others have already started implementing these principles. They're not debating whether this is right or wrong. They're becoming dangerous while you contemplate. The world doesn't reward the moral. It rewards the strategic. It doesn't respect the kind. It respects the powerful. It doesn't celebrate the fair. It celebrates the effective. You have 2 choices. Remain psychologically domesticated and watch others use these principles against you, or undergo the dark transformation and join the ranks of those who create their own reality. If you've made it this far, you've already chosen. Now execute. If this knowledge resonates with the darkest, most honest part of you, leave a comment with one word, sovereign. Let me know you're ready for the transformation. And if you want the next level of psychological warfare, the strategies they never wanted you to discover, subscribe and turn on notifications. The game is always playing. The only question is whether you're a player or a piece. Welcome to your evolution.